morning, good evening, good afternoon. What is the latest from the Blessed Geza and his fellow war veterans' desk? Well, they're telling us that they are preparing for the final push. Here's what he has got to say.
We've been mobilizing ourselves to deliver the final blow to a dictatorship that lacks any wisdom or empathy. We are now ready to deliver the final push, a push that needs all of us to face the odds and base a new country. We are going to give you a clearer signal soon. It will come before 2300 hours at night so that we end this 2030 business.
Well. How many times have Zimbabweans been told to join in the final push? And yet when the goal is achieved, they are completely forgotten. All Zimbabweans, most Zimbabweans, if not all Zimbabweans, played a significant part in the struggle to end white colonial rule. And yet, when we achieved our independence in 1980, as we know, the majority were completely sidelined. The 1980 elections were not free, fair, and credible. The one man, one vote that most people thought was one of the values on the table were all quickly forgotten. Zanu PF made it very clear that if the party does not win the election, the Bush war would continue. And so the ordinary people voted to end the Bush war. Little did they realize that by giving up their right to have a meaningful say in the governance of the country, they were giving up everything. Because within 3 years of independence, the country was dragged into the Gukurahundi war. Let me make that very clear here. The Gukurahundi war was primarily to force PF Zapu to give up its aspiration as an independent party and join Zanu PF. And the Gukurahundi massacre ended in 1987 with the signing of the Zanu PF Zapu Unity Accords, which paved the way for the imposition of the de facto one-party state that has ruled the country. What Mugabe did was brainwash the freedom fighters. He made them believe that the fight for independence was the fight for black rule. And that meant Zanu PF was the only party fit to govern the country. And the party was not sure that the people would appreciate that. And so the 1980, the people were told, if you don't vote for Zanu PF, the Bush war would continue. And with the imposition of the de facto one-party state, after the signing of the Unity Accords, the war veterans were brainwashed into believing that their number one task was to help impose the one-party state and make sure that Zanu PF and Zanu PF only rule the country. One is surprised to hear people like Blessed Geza, the war veteran, member of the Central Committee in Zanu PF, one time MP in his own right, and therefore then one of those one could consider to be part of the Zanu PF ruling class, telling the people now that Mnangagwa is a dictator. Yet he himself and many of those people around him have to admit they are the ones who helped impose Mnangagwa in 2017. So at the time they didn't realize Mnangagwa was a dictator. We could take it back further. He has played his role in creating and sustaining the Zanu PF one-party dictatorship. One of the most notable things that the war veterans have done was to help Zanu PF implement its so-called Operation Mavotera Papi in 2008. The sheer brutality of that operation beggars belief. And yet our friend here, I'm sure one day we'll know his full involvement in that, has never condemned it. Because he was having a share of the spoils of power. I think the most important thing to note here is that what Comrade Geza is proposing is nothing new. He and his Zanu PF and war veteran friends have imposed the Zanu PF dictatorship on the nation. They imposed Mugabe as a dictator soon after independence. When they got tired of him, they removed him and imposed Mnangagwa. And now he's not offering anything new. He's offering to impose a new dictator, another dictator, V P Chiwenga. The nation, the people of Zimbabwe know Chiwenga for who he is. He was accusing Mnangagwa of being corrupt. And yet, even he would not dare say Chiwenga is not corrupt. He's accused Mnangagwa of being incompetent. And yet he would not dare pretend that Chiwenga is competent. We are just replacing one dictator with another. After 45 years of rigged elections, with the nation in total economic meltdown, with millions of ordinary Zimbabweans, including many of the war veterans, who have never made it to the top table themselves, unlike our friend here who has, living in abject poverty. What we need is to end the system that has failed the nation, and not to keep on going round and round in circles. Some people will say, yes, we should support Geza and company. We've got a common cause in the form of stopping Mnangagwa corrupting the constitution. I totally agree with that. But we must also be careful that people like him, once they get what they want, would want that to be the destination. Our destination is not just to stop Mnangagwa extending his stay in power. If you ask me, one dictator is no better or worse than another. As far as I'm concerned, we are no different from the position of a mouse. Asking the mouse to choose between a black mamba or a cobra, when the mouse knows jolly well that a bite from either one of them will kill it. Zimbabwe is a failed state because we had a dictatorship for 45 years and counting. It really didn't matter who is the dictator. Replacing Mugabe with Mnangagwa did not make any difference in terms of the economic situation of the country. Some people will say, oh, Mnangagwa is worse than Mugabe. To me, again, they're just like a mouse trying to pretend that there's a difference between a cobra and a black mamba, when either snake is deadly to the mouse. Mnangagwa's economic performance could not have been better than Mugabe, for the simple reason that while Mugabe inherited a healthy and functioning economy, the biblical 7 fat ears of corn and 7 fat cows. Mnangagwa, when he took over in 2017, he inherited at best one skin thin to the bone cow. Yes, corruption has got worse, but let me rest assure you, Chiwenga will not be inheriting much from Mnangagwa. And if you seriously think that corruption will end, you are naive. We want a system in which whoever is in power must be elected by the people in a free, fair, and credible election. If the war veterans put Chiwenga as their candidate, that's fine. but he must be elected by the people of Zimbabwe in a free, fair, and credible elections. That is not negotiable. And that is what we must make sure that people like Blessed Geza here and company understand. We cannot fight and pretend that we're fighting for a common cause with people who only want to impose and sustain the same corrupt, tyrannical dictatorship that got us here. We want to dismantle the dictatorship. That is not negotiable. If Blessed Geza and company can come out now and saying they have repented from their past tendency of imposing Zanu PF on the nation, then we are fighting a common cause. To remain tactically silent on that issue is being deceptive. And we are not willing to be deceived anymore. I repeat, the fight right now is to end, to totally dismantle the dictatorship. And not just to swap one dictator with another. If the choice is stopping Mnangagwa and finding ourselves stuck with Chiwenga, that is not much of a choice to me. That is not a victory at all. It's an empty victory. What we want is to end the dictatorship, period. And that is not negotiable. If you are fighting to end the dictatorship, well and good. But I believe right now, Geza and company are fighting to replace one dictator with another. That is something that is totally unacceptable. We cannot compromise our demand to end the dictatorship. That is not negotiable. Thank you very much. Have a good evening.